Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we bring you information about exciting things that are happening in the community and try to help you understand about some of the great resources that are out there for you. The Alabama Non-Violent Offenders Organization is one of those organizations that many people may not be familiar with, but they serve a very important purpose right here in the city of Huntsville. Today I want to introduce you to two people that will help us understand all we can know about the Alabama Non-Violent Offenders Association. Travis Muller is co-founder and vice president of the organization. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
And Sally Colwick is a board member of the Alabama Non-Violent Offenders Association.
Yes.
Or organization.
Organization.
Yeah, let's call it A.N.V.O.O so we can let people know that that's what the acronym is for the rest of the show, because that's a mouthful. Alabama Non-Violent
Yes,
Offenders
it is.
Organization. A.N.V.O.O is the acronym that we'll use. When I first heard about this organization, it made a lot of sense to me simply because I understand there is a high percentage of individuals who, once they have been incarcerated, will one day come out. And one of the things that me personally as a mental health professional is concerned about is that people who come out of prison have the necessary skills that it takes to make the adjustment, that they have a good support base, and that they have opportunities once they come out. So tell us a little bit about this organization that I think began somewhere around 2009.
Yes. Yes. In 2009, we was official nonprofit, but we started it, you know, going into the communities and everything in 2008. My husband had a fence that was 18 years old, and he's a truck driver by trade, and he had wanted to come off the road, because we had moved here to Alabama, he had wanted to come off the road and get something locally. But his background from 18 years ago kept showing up, and they wouldn't rent to us. It was hard for us to get him to get work and everything. They would rent to me, but they wouldn't allow him to stay there with me. And I was like, what am I supposed to do, sneak my husband in the house, you know, when the office closed, you know, things of that nature. So we went into the community and we found that it was a much need, you know, of people struggling, trying to find work and house, decent housing, you know, and things of that nature.
What are the biggest challenges for, and we're focusing on nonviolent offenders. Maybe I was about to ask a question, but maybe I need to stop there for a second, because I think there's a tendency to lump the whole prison population into one group, offenders.
Yes.
But we're basically talking about nonviolent offenders. So talk about what that designation means.
Well, nonviolent offenders is basically Class C action, you know, offense and everything, misdemeanor, felony. Mostly of them are like drug charges, burglary, like in the third, you know, of that nature, like that. No Class A or, you know,
Which would be murder,
robbery with a gun and things of that nature. But we help anybody, you know, and all. If we can, we do referrals, you know, like with sex offenders. We can't help them, so we do referrals with people that work with them, you know, things of that nature. Because as soon as we say nonviolent offenders, that's the main thing they think, that we're working with sex offenders, and we don't.
So many times when people hear about people who have been incarcerated, they think about some of the challenges that you talked about a moment ago, housing issues, getting employment, family dynamics that sometimes keeps the family separated when people are trying to regain some semblance of life beyond the prison bars.
Yes.
What did it take for you to get this type of thing started? Because so many people give up, so many people go away, so many people feel defeated, but you started an organization that's 501c3.
Yeah, what we did was the research. We did the research, because we were originally from Connecticut. We did the research and we found out that Connecticut expunged records. So we was all excited. We got to the connection and everything, and they sent us an application and we filled it out. But we didn't dot all our I's and cross all our T's. So he had got a provisional pardon. So that would say you get a certificate, it has all your offense on it and everything, and it says that state of Connecticut pardoned you from your crime, that you're eligible for work. Now, when he presented that to the job here in Alabama, they basically like laughed in his face, because it don't mean nothing here, because the businesses dictate who they hire and who they don't hire. And in Connecticut, it's against the law. once they have that certificate in their hand, it's against the law to say you can't hire them because they got an offense.
So you took what you had and then built on that
Yes,
and was able to eventually launch this organization
yes,
that is now able to help others.
yes.
And you had help with the University of Alabama.
Yes, yep.
What kind of help? Tell us about
We
that.
went to their law department has a pool on every semester for graduates, and they take out of the pool. They pull out organizations or businesses and stuff, and they help them get started. So we got pulled and everything. They helped us with our bylaws and articles incorporated, and they helped us set up our board and fill out the application for the 501c status and everything. We sent it in February 2009, and May 2009 was official nonprofit.
Well, it kind of sounds like the Innocence Project and how they selectively take cases of individuals who they feel that have been unfairly incarcerated, and or there may be some mysterious circumstances around the person's conviction and sentencing, and try to deal with those. And they have really done, I think, yeoman's work as far as that's concerned. And I know that you're doing the same thing. In order to operate as a nonprofit, you need a board. And Sally, you're a board member. Talk a little bit about what it means to be a board member for A.N.V.O.O.
Well, it's a working board. They actually, I met Travis and Adrian at my church at First United Methodist. They were a community partner with us.
Where you're a pastor.
Yes, I'm a pastor there. And I was just really totally impressed with these two individuals and how much they have been able to do with so little, and how they have helped so many people find places to work. They talk to employers and get them to hire the people, give them a chance. They talk to apartment complexes and places like that, and I personally know how hard that is because I had a son that had an offense, and spent days driving around trying to find a place that would allow him to live, you know. So I recognize that. Well, they started asking me about serving on the board after I'd known them about a year, and when they said it was a working board, I said I can't do that. But I was getting ready to retire, and so I did retire in 2013. I just work part-time now, and my heart just kept being drawn towards what they're doing, and so it is serving on the board is a challenge to raise funds, to provide what we need. We have a small office at United Way, and so it meets regularly, but also we're working constantly. We're writing grants right now, trying to get some grant support. So we need some new board members, but it is a working board.
So in terms of the work that you accomplish as an organization, also as a board, I hear you saying several things. I hear you saying that you certainly work in the area of advocacy for former prisoners.
Yes.
I hear you talk about the whole idea of resource finding. You know, let's find some ways in which we can build a support network around this person that helps them gain some sense of stability.
Yes.
And helps them get grounded, and in some instances regrounded in the community that they're in. And also hear you saying that there are funds that are needed in order to drive this process, which is probably the fundamental challenge of most nonprofits,
Yes.
being able to find the money to stay afloat, to be able to provide the services that you provide. And I just wonder, going forward, what do you see aside from the money challenge, because that's a big one, and perhaps some board members who are actively engaged in the process of providing support, what are your biggest challenges? Because I think about the issue that's being discussed around the nation today about the restoration of voting rights for felons and other kinds of challenges that people are facing, which I think are fundamental issues that we have to confront as a society.
Yes.
What are your basic challenges that you're facing as an organization, and then the population that you're working with? What are some of those challenges that you're facing?
Well, my challenge is, like you said, with the voting rights and everything, and with Huntsville being a diverse community, a lot of people here have offenses in other states, and in Huntsville is this these 1901 laws that stifles the person to stay put, and that, you know, it's like no hope. So we work with representatives and senators and stuff like that, try to get bills passed and everything to help these individuals that's overlooked. You know, we presented like a copy of Florida, because like people with drug offense, they're not allowed to get any food stamps. You know, but people
You're in Alabama.
in Alabama, but people with worse offense, you know, harder offense and stuff, are allowed to get food stamps. You know, so we try to implement what Florida had did is with people that have a drug offense, they can go to, you know, drug classes and stuff like that, mentoring and things like that, and they have to do this constantly to get food stamps, you know, drug testing and things like that, so they can stay on the nail.
I imagine that you have some kind of connection with the Alabama, at least the North Alabama legislative delegation, because these are legislative issues that have to be addressed. I'm sure you have some relationship with them. What kind of relationship do you have with them, and has it been productive? Has it been positive, or is that one of your challenges also?
That's a challenge too. They'll say, okay, we'll, you know, when that come up, we'll vote on it and all that. But as far as like following up on them and everything, is like a voicemail.
So far, we don't have taking the lead in North Alabama, but we do have relationships with, you know, through meeting them and talking to them, and some financial support either. Even a little bit.
Do you see that as the kind of the get tough on crime sentiment that most people have, that, you know, there's kind of a zero tolerance oftentimes when you deal with people who have committed crimes, and I guess I'm basically talking about the difficulty that you're suggesting you've been having for somebody taking the lead on something, because if there's an advocate, a legislative advocate in the process, then that person steps up and says, you know, I'm for something related to the criminal, then the message may get mixed or distorted by the public, and so it's something that people shy away from.
And I think that there's just really a lot of people who don't understand and don't really know. I mean, I don't think the people of Alabama are that hard-hearted. The people I know are not that hard-hearted, but they act that way when they vote and when they talk, because I think they really don't understand that a prisoner can come out of prison, been there for 10 years, 15 years, 12 years, come out of prison, they're given $10. They're sent to wherever they came from or wherever they say they want to go, and that's it.
Is that every prisoner in the state?
In general, it is. They do have a pre-release program, but it's really short, and it's just like I just recently went to the work release place in Decatur, and you know they try. There's really good people working there, but they have such a short time. They give them paperwork that says, you know, these are the agencies in your community that you can go to for help, but that's not very much help. And if you may be disconnected from your family. You may be cut off completely from support. So I think people don't understand how hard it is to get out after you've been, some of them don't have skills.
Sure. And see, I think as we end on this note, I think you're right. You're hitting on something very important right there, because if I was the superintendent of prisons, and perhaps even the superintendent of the world, what I would say about prisoners is that no one would be released from prison without some kind of skill. No one would. Without a GED, without a college degree where those opportunities exist, and some kind of marketable skill. I think those two things have to be a part of that process. And so, and we can't, I mean, we've got to shut the conversation down at this point, but that's exactly what I think should be happening in this process, because if you're coming out, you have to be prepared, and it only does society better if people are prepared. Travis, tell us how people can get in contact with you.
Well, I could be reached at 256-288-3175, or they could go on our website, www.A.N.V.O.O.org.
All right, to get more information about the organization. And I know a lot of people have these challenges in their lives, and they certainly should be reaching out to connect with you. And then you've got those philanthropic and charitable hearts out there that may want to connect with you as well and do something meaningful. Sally, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your service as a board member.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both for being here, and we'll keep in touch with you from time to time and find out what's going on.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being a part of our broadcast today, and we hope that you'll join us for our next edition of Impact. In the meantime, have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.